In this video, we're going to solve linear equations for y. So we want these to be in the form y equals, and we're going to move everything else to the other side of the equal sign. So I'm going to draw a line down through my equal sign. I want y on the, I'm going to put on the left all by itself. I'm going to move everything else, my x variable and my numbers, to the other side. Also, y has to be positive. It cannot have a number multiplied by it. So I'm going to move everything else to the other side. So in this case, I just need to move the positive x to the other side. So I'm always going to do opposite operations to both sides of the equal sign. Because it's plus x minus x is the opposite. But anything I do to one side, I have to do the other. X minus x is 0. So I'm left with y is equal to 5 minus x. I want my x term in front, just because when you're writing a linear equation, we're going to write it with the x value in front of the number. So I have y equals, there's a minus in front of the x, and that has to stay in front of it. The 5 is positive, so it has to stay positive. So when I rewrite this, I have negative x plus 5. If you rewrite it as x minus 5, that's not the same thing, because 5 wasn't negative up here, so it couldn't suddenly have a minus. It has to stay positive. Positive and plus are the same thing. Negative and minus are the same thing, so you have to pay attention to what's in front of the term. So this is my answer. I solved for y. I moved everything else to the right side. All right, so on this one, I want to start by getting rid of that 4x. Opposite of positive 4x is minus 4x. 4x minus 4x is 0. Here I have a negative y equals, I'm just going to put my negative 4x or minus 4x in front because I want to rewrite it that way anyways. So I have a negative 4x. My 3 is positive, so plus 3. Okay, remember I said y cannot be negative. It's multiplied by a negative, or you can think of it as multiplied by negative 1. If it helps you, put a 1 there. So opposite of multiplying by negative 1 is to divide by negative 1. But I have to divide everything on both sides of the equal sign by negative 1. Negative 1 divided by negative 1 is positive 1, so I'm left with y equals negative 4x divided by negative 1 is positive 4x. And 3 divided by negative 1 is negative 3. You could put plus negative 3, or you can just put minus 3, because this positive or plus divided by the negative leaves you with a negative or minus. Remember, negative and minus, you can think of them as sort of interchangeable. This is my answer. All right, so we're going to try a couple more. These ones are a little more complex. We're going to start by moving that positive 6x to the other side. So opposite is minus 6x. 6x minus 6x is 0. So we have 3y equals negative 6x plus 15. All right, I can't have a number multiplied by y. It's not by itself yet. So opposite of multiplying y by 3 is dividing by 3. But I have to divide everything on both sides by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. So we have y equals negative 6x divided by 3 is negative 2x. 15 divided by 3 is positive 5. Okay, we're going to do one more. And this one we're actually going to end up with a fraction, which is okay. We're just going to leave it as a fraction. Okay, so I need to get rid of that negative 2x by doing the opposite of plus 2x. Negative 2x plus 2x is 0. I still have this minus or negative 5y equals, we have a positive 2x and a positive 10, so plus 10. All right, y is being multiplied by negative 5. Opposite operation, divide by negative 5, but divide everything on both sides by negative 5. Negative 5 divided by negative 5 is positive 1. So I have y equals, All right, this is where it gets tricky. 2x divided by negative 5. I'm going to have a fraction. I know a positive divided by a negative is a negative, so I'm just going to bring my negative out in front. Okay, I'm going to write this as 2/5 x. Because I can divide or I can write it as a fraction. Remember that those can mean the same things. So you're just going to do 2/5 multiplied by our x value, and it's still the exact same thing. Okay, here I have a positive divided by a negative is a negative. I like to simplify it as much as possible because plus a negative, you still can simplify it a little more. And 10 divided by 5 is 2. So here is my answer. Write it as cleaned up as you can. I wouldn't want to leave it like this because it's kind of ugly like that. It's not completely cleaned up. You don't want to leave negatives in the denominator. You want to pull your negative out in front, or if you had a negative divided by a negative, it would result in a positive. So clean up your answer as much as possible. Here are 4 problems for you to go ahead and try, and come back when you're ready to go through the answers. All right, the first one's pretty easy. I'm going to subtract x on both sides. X minus x is 0. So I have negative y equals negative x plus 9. I have a negative multiplied by y. I can treat it as negative 1 multiplied by y. So I have to divide everything on both sides by negative 1. Negative divided by negative is a positive, so I'm left with y equals negative divided by negative is a positive, and x over 1 is just x. Positive divided by negative is a negative. 9 divided by 1 is 9. So I have y equals x minus 9. All right, in this one, I'm going to subtract 5x from both sides. 5x minus 5x is 0. So I'm left with 5y equals negative 5x plus 25. Okay, I have 5 multiplied by y. I have to get rid of that by dividing everything on both sides by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. So y equals negative 5 divided by 5 is negative 1. So I have negative 1x, or just negative x, plus 25 divided by 5 is 5. If you left it as negative 1x, that's okay. You can leave it as that. All right, next we're going to get rid of that 4x by subtracting 4x on both sides. 4x minus 4x is 0. Negative 2y equals negative 4x plus 1. Here I need to divide everything on both sides by negative 2. Negative 2 divided by negative 2 is positive 1. So I'm left with y equals negative 4 divided by negative 2 is positive 2, and it's multiplied by x, so positive 2x. Positive divided by negative is a negative. And I'm just going to leave that as 1/2. So I have y equals 2x minus 1/2. Again, clean it up as much as possible and leave it simplified. All right, last one. I'm going to add 3x to both sides. Negative 3x plus 3x is 0. So I have 2y equals 3x plus 5. Divide everything on both sides by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So we have y equals 3/2 x plus 5/2. All right, hopefully you were able to solve each of the linear equations for y.